At the start of the test, before you start the driving part, the tester will ask you some theory questions, and I'm going to go through some of those questions now. So the first one the tester may ask you could be to do with the yellow box. What's the rule with the yellow box? The answer is you shouldn't stop or park or block the yellow box. The exception is if you're turning right, for example, at traffic lights. So don't stop in the yellow box unless you're turning right. The examiner may also ask you about the rule with a clearway, in which case you would say a clearway is an area of the road where no parking or stopping is allowed during the time shown. Exception is by buses and taxis. The tester may also ask you about the amber light. What does the amber light mean? At a traffic lights, the amber light means you should stop unless it is unsafe to stop. So unless you're too near the lights to stop safely. What does the flashing amber light mean? Well, the flashing amber light means that as a driver, you may proceed, but you have to give way to pedestrians who are on the crossing or nearby. Similarly, to do with pedestrian crossings, the tester might ask, what does the white zigzag lines on the road mean? The answer is, they mean you're coming up to a pedestrian crossing or a zebra crossing, and you're not allowed park or overtake in the areas where you see the white zigzag lines. Usually it's 15 metres before and after the pedestrian crossing. So no overtaking or parking on the white zigzag lines. What would you do if you were dazzled by the lights of an oncoming car at night? The answer is you would look to the left verge of the road, don't look directly at the lights, and slow down and stop if necessary. If you're dazzled by a car from behind, you would usually then just flick the rear view mirror. Here there's usually a flick on that you would do that. Flick that to anti-dazzle, and that will help avoid the glare of the car's lights behind you. When would you use your dipped headlights? You would use your dipped headlights if there was oncoming car. You would reduce them from full beam to dipped. If you were following a car as well in a well-lit urban area, you would also use dipped headlights at dawn and dusk, in bad weather such as fog, heavy rain and snow, and generally use it so you can see better, but don't use the full headlights to inconvenience other road users. How far would you stay behind the vehicle in front of you? On a dry day, you should stay 2 seconds behind the vehicle in front. So that means use a fixed point as a point of contact. So when the car in front passes that fixed point, like a road sign, you would pass that same road sign 2 seconds later. Double it in the wet and stay 10 seconds behind the car in front in snow or ice. Motorway questions next that the driving tester might ask you. What's the speed limit on a motorway? The answer is 120 kilometres unless the signs say otherwise. On a national road it's 100, on a rural road, regional road, it's usually 80. And in town it's usually 50 or 60 depending on the signs. But the speed limit on a motorway is usually 120 kilometres unless the signs dictate otherwise. And finally, a question that the examiner may ask you. What is the normal lane you would drive in on a motorway? If there's 3 lanes, for example. The answer is the left lane, because the other 2 lanes, the middle lane and the right lane, are for overtaking. So in ordinary situation that you're on a motorway, you would normally take up position and stay in the left lane unless you're overtaking somebody, in which case you would move out into the middle of the right lane then. And that's just an example of some of the questions that the examiner may ask you at the start of your driving test.